Just like I said in the open. I said, listen, I hear all these people making these lists. And there's a lot of the same names on there on these lists. But this is like something the talking heads do is they make these lists and make people know this is who we think should be happening. And now that I am officially a talking head, I made a list of who I think should be in the conversation for the MVP. Now, granted, there's a lot of football left. A lot of football left. These players have just worked their way into the conversation 9 weeks into this thing. Being an NFL MVP is a massive honor. It is very difficult to get. That honor show is basically all revolving around the NFL MVP. You can get whatever host you want up there, do whatever little song and dance. It's all probably pretty boring. They'll give out all the other awards, but the award that matters the most is the NFL MVP. And I think there are 7 potential NFL MVPs at this point. There's over 1,000 people in the NFL. These 7 guys have worked their way into a conversation, I think. It's a quarterback-driven award. But could this be the year that somebody that isn't a quarterback wins it? I think there's a couple candidates. First, let's go with the pies on Nick Bosa out there in San Francisco, in the Bay. Yes, his grandpa was a mob boss. Yes, his brother is an animal for the Chargers. Yes to all these things. Yes, he sat out his senior year at Ohio State because he got injured and somehow became a monster. Let me give you a little facts and stats to back this up. Last year, they were 28th in points allowed. This year, they're 2nd. Okay? I'm sure there's been other characters that have been dropped into that San Francisco 49er defense that have helped us out, but I think the most notable is this rookie kid from Ohio State who has ties to the mob, who's been a made manimal on the line. Sherman's back playing very well, but I would assume that's because he knows that there's a defensive line up there that's going to get to the quarterback. There's a defensive line up there that's going to disrupt things, and that's not easy for a defensive lineman to be a leader of a team. Bosa, a rookie, has done that, and I think he should be in conversation, especially because the Niners are undefeated. Regardless of who they played, next to nobody, regardless of who they've played, they have been dominant, and they've been a fun team to watch defensively. They get a big-time task on Monday night. We'll talk about somebody that they'll be facing here in a little bit in this list as it continues. This is no particular order, by the way. These are just candidates I think have played their way into this conversation. Christian McCaffrey, this dude. Cam Newton's team down there in the Queen City, I believe they call it.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have downtown. They have uptown. Charlotte's a good time. Dale Earnhardt Jr. has some bars down there. I've got a chance to stay down there. They got NASCAR down there. But that was Cam Newton City. Michael Jordan owns a team, but it was Cam Newton City for a long time. Carolina Panthers were a hell of a team to watch. Cam Newton was skipping and dancing in a maestro to celebrate the entire stadium whenever they would score. The Superman song would play. Bang, Von Miller strips the ball from him in the Super Bowl. He doesn't go for it. All of a sudden, Cam Newton becomes an entirely new player. Seems like he lost his love for the game. I'm not saying he has. It's just saying what it looks like from the outside. I used to love watching Cam Newton play football. I used to love watching Cam Newton warm up. But those days are long gone now for the Carolina Panthers. Insert Kyle Allen at quarterback, which means insert Christian McCaffrey being the workhorse for the Carolina Panthers. He's on pace for 440 total touches. For those that don't know, that is an assload of touches. That is a workhorse type operation, and if anybody was built for this, created for this, I would argue that it's Christian McCaffrey. Dad, obviously, Ed McCaffrey. Mom, superstar soccer player at Stanford. Grandpa, Olympic gold medalist or something like that. His aunt and uncle, D1 college basketball players. I mean, Christian McCaffrey has been built to be an athlete literally since before birth. But now his body's going to have to withhold it. He has 1,244 total yards from scrimmage, 13 touchdowns, and he's on pace to not just beat Chris Johnson's yards from scrimmage record that nobody thought could be touched, but by beating it by 200 yards if he can keep this up. 2,509 yards is the all-time leading record by Chris Johnson for yards from scrimmage. He is on pace to shatter that by 200 yards. Can his body hold up? Can the Carolina Panthers continue to run through Christian McCaffrey? Will Christian McCaffrey be able to continue to make plays, be elusive and explosive at the same time for the rest of the season? We will find out. If he does, and he does beat that Chris Johnson record, this NFL MVP trophy, which is a quarterback-driven trophy, maybe has to take a backseat to a running back that is taking over games. Carolina Panthers were dead, by the way.
Yeah.
Dead in the water. Then Kyle Allen comes in, this attractive kid from Stanford, starts getting the rock, and wham, we got a workhorse all of a sudden. Now let's get to the quarterbacks. Jacoby Brissett. Yes, nobody else has him on their list. Yes, this was supposed to be a 6-person list originally. We made it a 7-person list just so I can give love to Jacoby Brissett. 1,649 yards, 14 touchdowns, and a 99.7 rating. That's not out of 100, but damn, I wish it was, because it would be almost perfect. Yes, he got injured in his last game. He's getting his knee back healthy. I don't know if he'll be playing next week, but this guy put CPR to the Indianapolis Colts. 16 days before the season started, a once-in-a-generation quarterback retired via an Adam Schefter tweet. The city was lost. But then the city was found by a man named Jacoby, a once member of the Wolfpack in New England, now coming to Indy to be a savior, having a hell of a year, one of the better young quarterbacks in the NFL. Nobody's talking about him. I will make sure his name will be mentioned because he deserves a lot more respect. The Colts got a good one in Jacoby. I think he's going to be good for a long time. And if he can come back and save the day after Hoy Daddy, I think Jacoby should be in the conversation. And he's a quarterback, so that means it will definitely happen. In the AFC South, another quarterback has been nothing short of magical. Deshaun Watson thought he lost his damn eye. Thought he lost his eye in a game. Got a boot to the face. Donkey kick right to the eyeball. Then threw a touchdown on the same play. He thought he lost an eye. I'll put Deshaun Watson in the MVP conversation for sure. 2,432 yards, 18 touchdowns, 5 picks, 70% completion rate. When he came out of college, Dabo Swinney said, if you don't pick this guy, you're not picking Michael Jordan. I said, take it easy, Dabo. Okay? Michael Jordan. What's that even mean? And this last couple weeks, I was like, damn, Dabo Swinney was coaching Michael Jordan down there in Clemson. He's been magic out there. He's the only quarterback since 1950. That's a long time, man.
Long time.
69 years. Nice. To have 18 tutters passing and 5 rushing through the first 9 weeks. They lose J.J. Watt on the defensive side of the ball, so they're going to have to be good on the offensive side of the ball. Deshaun Watson has gotten very good. Laramie Tunsil comes back for them, too. Let's hope they get a little bit more protection for the guy so he doesn't lose his eyeball. And he plugged Popeye's Spicy Chicken Sandwich, which is next-level thinking for me. That made me raise my level of respect for him almost tenfold. Wow. The ability to have the composure in a moment after a big-time game in London town where everything's different anyways, to also remember to plug Popeyes, that's an MVP-like person that I want to be around. I like that Deshaun Watson is coming full circle for the Houston Texans. Hate it for the Colts. Happy I'm not on the team anymore to have to face against that. But, boy, the Texans should feel good about them and Deshaun Watson. So hopefully he can stay healthy, though. Not only did he think he'd lose an eye, he had a knee. I mean, he gets his ass kicked down there. But that's kind of his style of play. Now you see me, now you don't. Every once in a while you do see him, and boom, you get blown up. Deshaun Watson, I like him a lot. Lamar Jackson. This guy has changed football. He's changing the NFL. Is Lamar Jackson the future of the NFL, people are asking? I said this on Get Up. In the future, if another Lamar Jackson comes through as a college quarterback, best player in college, Heisman winner, takes a team that wasn't that talented in Louisville and takes them to places they couldn't expect to go. Then whenever on draft night you have a chance to draft a guy like Lamar Jackson, let's pull the trigger and draft Lamar Jackson. Will another Lamar Jackson happen ever again? No, I don't think so. This guy is shattering Michael Vick's records at a rapid rate. The first to do this, the first to do this, the best since this. That is what Lamar Jackson is. He's lightning in a bottle. He's electric, magnetic, nuclear, some would say, when he has the football in his hands. And on draft night, when he was drafted 32 behind, this is who he was drafted behind, by the way. These people got drafted ahead of Lamar Jackson. Just like we talk about this with Trubisky, who will never be on an MVP candidate list.
Come on.
Deshaun Watson, Patrick Mahomes drafted after Mitchell Trubisky. Mm-hmm. These people were drafted ahead of Lamar Jackson. Baker Mayfield. Okay, we don't know about him yet. Let's take it easy. Sam Darnold, dude sees ghosts. Said ghost that a lot of teams are seeing is Lamar Jackson, by the way. So there's a little bit of a difference in the ghost world. Josh Allen and Josh Rosen all drafted ahead of Lamar Jackson. And on draft night, Lamar Jackson, when Deion Sanders said, "You okay?" He said, "Yeah, I'm okay." And you're like, what's Baltimore going to get out of you? He said, they're going to get it all from me, and they're going to get a Super Bowl out of me. Lamar Jackson knew what was going to happen. Harbaugh, to his credit, went all in on Lamar Jackson, changed their offense, brought in more tight ends, got rid of the Flacco. I love the way Lamar Jackson's playing football. He's fun to watch, but it all revolves around whether or not Lamar Jackson is going to be able to stay healthy. And I think he's sick of answering that question. I think he's sick of having to say, listen, I know how not to take big hits. I've been doing this my whole life. If I'm going to take a hit, I'm going to deliver the hit instead of taking it on the other side. I'm excited to see what Lamar Jackson can do the rest of the year. Aaron Rodgers. Best friend of the show. He was on the other day. Seems like he's enjoying life again. Seems like he's happy to be a Green Bay Packer again. They had a snowball fight just yesterday at practice where one of the most gifted arms in the history of arms was picking up a snowball and flailing it at his coach and at his friends on the team. He had to learn an entirely new offense. It revamped him, refreshed him, birthed him.
Yeah. Wow. Oh, yeah.
Pretty good little run there.
Strong.
2,485 yards, 17 touchdowns, a 104.4 rating. Granted, the Chargers game, not great for the offense, but he said this was a nice little piece of humble pie. Let us get back on the right track. He and LaFleur seem to be getting things in sync, and that offense is not only one that he's starting to understand and comprehend, but he's starting to dominate with. Let's assume that Aaron Rodgers is going to be in the conversation for MVP, as he should. If they can get back on track after this Chargers loss, which he thinks that they will be able to do. He likes the way the team has responded. They're 7-2. I'm happy to see a reborn Aaron Rodgers. I got a chance to call their game Lions at Packers last year. They lost 31-zip. Now that's a completely different team. LaFleur has brought a lot of life in there. We'll talk about him being a potential Coach of the Year candidate later. And my guy, who everybody's talking about being MVP, signed for $140 million in the offseason while laying in bed with Sierra. Had a weird video. All right, good night now. Every time he speaks into a microphone, he says all the right things. Every time he gets on a football field, it seems like he does all the right things. Russell Wilson has 2,505 yards accrued thus far, 22 touchdowns and only one pick.
Oh.
Are you kidding me? Those are good ratios, because sometimes you get ratioed on the internet, and it's not good. Too many comments, not enough retweets or likes, you get ratioed. The ratio of 22 touchdowns, only one pick, 9 weeks into this thing, and also 200 yards on the ground with 3 touchdowns. Russell Wilson has picked the Seahawks organization up, put it right on his back, and he has ran like a baseball player right through the NFL thus far for 9 weeks. Just running like this, slinging it, throwing it into a bucket, making things happen. There was a lot of questions. They get rid of the Legion of Boom. This team will now depend upon Russell Wilson. How will they do? How will Pete Carroll do? He has done nothing but show up and show out. And now they add Josh Gordon to the mix. Let's assume the offense gets better, but they have a big test on Monday night. The San Francisco 49ers, who are undefeated, play their first real test in the Seattle Seahawks, and Russell Wilson gets a first real test against that Niners defense that has been dominant. Richard Sherman's all the way back. Bosa's a monster, but those are my 7 candidates who have earned their way into the MVP conversation. I feel like a real talk show host with that.
Well done.
Strong list.